welcome to another story from the summit. This week we are featuring Coach Whit from Apogee Woman. Couldn't be happier to have this person on. I might be biased because she is actually also my wife, but I'm excited to have you here, Coach Whit. Welcome to Stories from the Summit.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're a little biased, but I guess I'm biased too. I'm not married to her, but I definitely love the woman and am honored to be on this mission with you, my friend. And right before this, we officially got our own action figures, at least in pictures, which is pretty solid. I got to say, yours, like it looks good. They did a great job. It looks good. Not like,
High,
because it looks
high heels
closest
and a
to you.
cat. High heels and a cat were my part of my action figure. Not sure why, but
Why not? You know, it's awesome. So cool. I'll
So,
let you.
so look, let's kick it off this way. Whit. How did you get involved with this, right? Like, I mean, when you say like, how did you find Apogee? How did you come to be the head coach of Apogee Woman? How do you find yourself now leading a movement of powerful women?
so I started coaching years ago and have just really loved being a part of women's groups and coaching women's groups. And I felt like there was always a little piece missing. And a friend of ours introduced us to Apogee. And what I've learned about Apogee is it's the education of the whole family because, our family started in coaching, and Kevin, who's on this call, my husband, started in coaching first. And I was like, coaching just the husband doesn't work for me. And I was jealous. So I started my own thing. And therefore, I was like, okay, we're coaching now women so that we're building a family. What really attracted me to Apogee is the fact that it's not just dad, it's not just mom, it's also the kids, and it's the whole family growing at one time.
Mhm. I love that, man. And that it's so I love hearing you say that, and I know you know that, and I know you feel that way, and I know you well enough to know that. But what's interesting to me is that more people don't see that. And I don't say that to knock people. It's just something that's always been so obvious to me where it's like, okay, we're talking about growth all day with the kids. And it's like, but then we're sending them home. And what if we're sending them home to parents that aren't talking about that? Like, doesn't that matter? And we're gonna go coach the men to go lead the families and go, yeah, absolutely, that sounds great. And men pouring into other men. We need that. I agree. W- like women need to be pouring into the women too, and like this is how we do that. Well, it just makes sense to me, and I know it just makes sense to you too. And then so I love that. I love that you just noticed that and recognized that and wanted to step in and lead that too, because that's not easy. It's not easy. You can recognize it and then to actually go do it and to do it well is not, that's not an easy thing. So let's start with like some of the highs on stuff. So since you've come in and been leading the women, what are one or two of the, like if you had to brag a little, like what are one of the two of the things that you've been excited about that you've seen that have gone really well that you're pumped about? Go ahead and brag a little bit on that.
Man, I just first of all, I want to brag on just the caliber of woman that comes through this process. Um, I would not just say that they're my coaching clients by any means. I would actually call them family. And I know this because a few months ago, my husband had a heart attack, and the outpour to me of people wanting to support me was just I never felt that way before. I only felt that like in biological family and friends that I'd been friends with for years. So I definitely have to say to brag on just the community that we're building here at Apogee. Because I
Mhm.
think a lot of people talk about community, but this is a real community. And you know that when something like that happens and people actually reach out to you and really help, not just let me talk about it, help. Um, and really
Mhm.
another thing that I'd love to brag about is some of the women that are joining Apogee are just kind of surviving through life and hearing the stories a year later after they've been through this process. And it's not me, it's not the magic of me, it's not the magic of Apogee, but the magic of them changing and doing something different in their lives so that they're not only just surviving but they're thriving in their families.
Mm.
I will tell you that no place for me did I see that in this movement more than at the Apogee family reunion. So once a year we get together in December. Last year we got together at the Kalahari in Austin, or Round Rock, near Austin. And seeing it all come together, like here are hundreds of men and hundreds of women and their kids, and having an event that is so crazy to invite all the kids and the parents and having the thing go off well. It was awesome. It's like, wow, this, it all matters. Like, it's not just send kids to school because parents, we have it all figured out. Holy moly. I think when you have your first kid, that's the moment you realize you don't have anything figured out. And then you have your second kid and you're like, oh, I know what this is. Nope, totally different, right? And we did this 5 times. We have 5 kids, totally different every time, never to be the same, never to be repeated. And I think seeing it all like that was just super powerful for me. And
Hmm.
seeing, oh wow, this is really improving the fibers, all of the fibers of the family, not just this piece influences those piece. Each piece influences all, and there's some place for everyone to land.
Yeah. No, it's well said by both of you guys. It's cool, man, because you just both touched on kind of the spectrum endpoints right there. Because it is that we have to get to have the big family reunion, and you get to see all of that and to feel the energy of that. It is undeniable. Anybody that was there, you come away and you're like, "Yep, that was family." Like you can't. There's no way to deny that how easy and how special that time is. And then, but what you focused on too, and you mentioned just those daily interactions too, the support during hard times and the just support just for the sake of support on a daily basis. I'll have a conversation with somebody within the Apogee tribe, and it's a tough thing. I had a tough conversation with one of our men earlier today, and I also had just a conversation around encouragement with one of our men earlier today. For no, like everything's going well, and it was just a hey man, thanks for leading the way you are. Both of those. And those happen on a daily basis, both sides.
Mhm.
Like that's amazing. And that is the kind of growth that we're after. And you are a huge part of that because we do hear from the women, we do hear from the husbands of the women who are like, ooh, so proud of her and so we're leading all that too. So dang cool, man.
Mhm.
Um, we talk about the code. We talk about the code on the men's side, on the women's side. That's one of the things that is the same on the young men's, the young ladies side. It is the same because you're leading the young ladies too,
Mhm.
not just leading the mamas. You're leading these teenage young women too. And so, but the code remains the same.
It
Doesn't
does.
matter how old you are. So when you're looking at the code, and we talk about the Apogee code, for your specific journey, is there one of those components that you find yourself leaning into more than the others?
Absolutely. Politeness. I think that's one of the biggest things. And it's been like I had children and they know our mantra as they leave out of the door every single day, or if I'm on the phone with my adult children now, is hey, be good, gracious, and kind today.
Mm,
And it the way I look at it is you never know what kind of day someone is having. And hey, if they're snarky and snippy with you, that doesn't mean that I have to give that back. And I see the light turn on in people when I'm polite. And the same happens with me. And that's what I want to bring to this world is light.
Well, you know that you marry your opposite, right, Matt? So I have to say that
I
from my side of the marriage, politeness was maybe the hardest part of the thing. Well, I remember reading the code the first time, which is the Bushido code, right? We didn't make it up, but I was like,
right.
politeness? Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna wait, polite? Wait, what? What? But I mean, it's really improved our marriage because I've been checked of like, hey, yeah, cool, bravery, honesty, integrity, like all the brave things, but then it's like, no, but politeness and compassion, like how you do things matters too. It's
Yeah.
definitely transformed our family. I mean, it really, really, it, this isn't about coaching other people. It's about like in our house, it's like, oh, there's probably a polite way to do this without being weak. It's not, politeness is not weakness. And that's what I had to learn. Whitney, I think, has known this a lot longer than me, and
Mm.
has waited for me to come around.
I, I do this quite often where the three of us will be on a call or maybe somebody else on the team and stuff too. And I go, how did Kevin do this? How did he? Because this how did he get her? How did that work? Because
When
you
when
Definitely.
brought
most
up two
people
other.
when most people meet us, they're wondering if she's my blessing or if I'm her punishment. Just trying to figure out.
That's fair.
I'm just happy.
Yeah,
Either way, I'm good.
that's fair. That's super fair. Well, that's actually a great segue. That's a that's a great segue to the next question too, because the net we like talk about the battle scars and obviously outside of you guys have the perfect marriage, so we'll just go
Mm,
there. Like everything's perfect.
absolutely.
Everything's perfect, so we're gonna assume that we're not talking there. Like, but we're talking about, battle scars and getting punched in the face and
Mm,
leaning into this family that we have, the Apogee code, the work that like there's so many places we can lean in, which I love too. Do you have any examples for you getting punched in the face, but being able to lean in and either fight your way through it or get supported through it or maybe a little of both.
yeah, I mean, I'd love to pretend like Kevin and I have the perfect marriage and we never have any arguments. But we all know that that's not true. And being married to another human being is one of the hardest things that we can do and one of the best things that we can do. And we also have 5 children, and it's a blended family. And blending a family, I know a lot of people out there know what that is, and if you've never blended a family, it's hard. And I can say that, just falling back to the basics for me with my daily routine, with the daily essentials that we do inside of Apogee, in journaling, even meditation and the love and life that we send out. It's all that basic mundane stuff that has really built a solid foundation for me so that
Mm,
when something does punch me in the face, like, my husband having a heart attack or kids leaving our house because we
mm,
all think that that's not going to be a big deal, and having 4 out of our house right now and 1 left behind, it's having that reliable mundane practice to fall back on daily really helps to keep me leveled, and helps me just to keep my sanity on the days that I feel like I have none.
mm. That I I've said this a number of times internally. I don't know if I've said it as much externally, but we have so many amazing things, so many amazing people, so many amazing processes. The books that we read, the challenges that we take on, there's so much intention that's gone into that. There's so much work that the team has put in around, the quality and the delivery of the videos around the challenges. The amazing work around the app and the spark I mean, there's so many things where it's like, holy moly. For my money, man, one of the things that's I think undervalued, it is the daily. Sometimes just a small daily reminder, the daily disciplines of just look, being consistent on these things, which I mean, and some people will be like, well, yeah, but that's a daily thing. And there's this, and then Coach Kevin went on a men's call one night and blew everybody out of the water by leading everybody through literally all 10 or 11 in like 5 minutes. He's like, look, so don't ever say you don't have enough time, right? You can do them more extensively than that, but we literally just did every single one in like 5 minutes. And they all just went, okie dokie, I've got no excuse anymore, right? Those daily things matter. They're powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let me ask you this, Whit. As we've come through Apogee, right? I mean, there's been health challenges for me. You're going through a transition in your life. Our kids, I mean, look, for those of you who have kids, they're gonna leave one day, and it is the weirdest feeling in the world because you're so proud. Like our kids are killing it. I mean, they really are. Like, if I had said like, what's the best case scenario? They're doing it. And man, I kind of wish they were screwed up a little more so they would have to come back and be home. Like it's crazy. I have the weirdest feelings, right? So I would say that these last few years with as we've been here with Apogee have been really big transitions, right? How has the code helped you through that, or how has this network helped you through that? Because I'll tell you, and to not play funny with this question, when I had a heart attack, and then I get all these messages from women from Apogee Women saying, "Hey, you're not going to do this to her again. What are you going to do different in your diet? What are you going to do?" Like and I'm like, hey,
Mm,
I know it happened. I was the one almost dead. Like I I promise, but it was cool for me to see the ferocity or the loyalty
Hmm.
of the movement to you. But for you, how has that supported you through all this?
The support of it is we're not just showing our highlights here. That I think a lot of things that I've been a part of in the past, it's like, let me just tell you all the good things that are happening in my life and you can cheer me on, but we share the pain also. And for me a big thing is when I share my pain is divided. And I've seen women step up and support me, and even some of the Apogee men reach out and say, hey, how can I support you through, yeah, Kevin's heart attack. And I mean, a big thing I'm going through right now is I'm in menopause, and
Mm,
no one knows what that's like until you actually go through it. And then but no one has really been talking about that. And I started talking about that, and it's the amount of women that are talking about it with me now. It's like
mm,
I don't feel alone. And that's one of the big things that I think as humans, we sometimes feel like we're on this boat out in the ocean by ourselves with maybe one paddle. And the truth is, with Apogee, it's like I'm on a cruise ship of whoever wants to support me.
mm. That's it. The you mentioned, the I love that with the support and the you talking about the menopause thing, and that's where I was going to go next. Anyways, it's kind of a change or maybe a change in belief, but I mean, you're actually talking about physical changes right now. That hey, guess what? Spoiler alert, ladies, that happens to everybody, right? But it's something we don't talk about a ton. Um, so what about those like changes for you over these couple of years? Whether it's the physical side and but or the mental side or the I've got a thought around this and I'm shifting my mindset on that. Like that's some of the most fun things to look back on over these couple of years is like I can see how I've changed and things I've changed my mind on. Has there been any sort of, change that stands out to you?
I think one of the biggest changes for me is learning and understanding the steelman process of what we do inside of
Mm,
Apogee.
mm,
Um, I think that I lived in this, well, this is my opinion and I'm here. Um,
mm-hmm,
and I have three children that were raised in a different faith than I was. And I was very adamant that, this is wrong. I don't like this. And through this process of being an Apogee, we have had some of the best conversations as a family. And I feel like it's brought us closer together because, hey, they're still living their belief system and I'm still living my belief system, and we can still come together as a family, um, and not allowing other people's opinions and beliefs like deter me. I can sit and have a conversation, and I think that's the big thing. It's not just a I'm right, you're wrong, but let's have a conversation. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things for me that has changed, in dealing, with my with my parents and dealing with friends and
mm.
dealing with, even my kids.
It
It's
seems like
really
the
good.
world is moving more and more to where you only hang out and talk with people who
Yep.
you agree with. Like, I don't
Mm,
know why. It'd be nice to blame the algorithm, but the truth is, it's just more comfortable to do that. And so, because we have, devices in our pocket that allow us to jump in with other people who agree with us, I can be at dinner with someone I disagree with, but I'm actually chatting on Instagram with someone who agrees with me, saying how dumb that guy is, instead of being in a conversation with someone else. I think that's been something that's been fun, that's markedly improved in our house, is like weighing the merit of what everyone sees and why do they see that, and not needing to agree. We're not trying to come to agreement. We're just coming to, okay, I see what you see, and then here's what
yeah.
I see. And it doesn't mean that we end with everyone agreed. It just means that we
Yeah.
end with mutual respect and understanding.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the areas. It's such an interesting thing, and I experienced this a little bit yesterday with some of the men as we were going through it. It was like, all right, let's steel man this a little bit, and they wanted to even just take it as we're getting ourselves to the point where we can listen to another opinion that we don't agree with and be okay with it, and then come back with our opinion. And like, look, that's great too. It's good to be able. That's part of civil discourse is listening. But what we're actually trying to do is how much can you understand that side? And by the way, maybe can you prove them right? And we have this weird fear of this because we're like, oh, well, then it's going to change everything about me. No, It's not. It's called growth. Because if you can prove them more right based on their evidence than what you currently believe, now you're faced with an option of going, do I want to change my mind because there's better evidence? Or, you know what? If you try to prove them correct and you're like, I still see better evidence on that. All you did was bolster your opinion. Like there's no downside to it other than the social component of that. And it's such an interesting scenario. So I love that you're diving into that too. And you got great ladies to be able to do that with too and wrestle with and bounce those things around. Is there anybody um, inside the network that is really like you want to kind of give a shout out to where you're like, ooh, okay, like I see the way this person is showing up, or I don't know, just as far as like inside the network that has really helped kind of push you too.
Oh man. I have to say, like, there's I mean, do you want me to name drop women? I can definitely name drop women. Um,
I don't
I
know.
mean, it's just
Mm.
I have several women in there, but I mean, just to name a few, it's I have Willow and Britt and Erica, and it's like these three women. And listen, if I did not name your name and you see this, there's so many of
Yeah,
you
yeah,
guys leaning,
yeah.
that are leaning in, but it's so powerful to watch a woman lean into herself and see the beauty that's pouring out. And because a lot of times I think as women, we think, well, if I do this for me, then it's taking away from my children, or it's taking away from my husband, or it's taking away from all of the other people that we give to. And to see these powerful women lean into themselves and do this work to build them, but to see the beauty pouring out into their families, and seeing their children benefit from this, and hearing things about their husband from you guys, and hearing the whole family build itself. I just think it's beautiful.
Ah,
I think it's fun for me because I'm in the house and Whit'll come home. I'll name drop one person. Like she come home a few weeks ago. She's like, man, Michelle Hammer is just growing so much, and it's so
yeah.
awesome to see. And then but then within like a week or two, it's fun to see like, oh look, Whit's doing that thing too. Because we as coaches, we get the benefit of we can kind of piggyback off of other people's growth, right? We don't necessarily have to have the problem. We can see their problem, and all of a sudden, I'm like, oh wow, Whit's being a little louder and showing up in a different way in our house. And I like this. This is cool. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, whoever. Like, and again, there's so many women to start name dropping is dangerous. But let me ask you this, Whit, because you have two um two roles, right? So we've been talking mostly about Apogee Woman, but what about Apogee Strong Young Woman? Like, what are you
Hmm.
seeing happen there in our young women from ages 12 to 18?
Man, it first of all, it is such an honor to be able to be on calls with these young women. They the the intelligence of these young women, and
Mm.
I know that this is happening because they are in families, and the families are educating them, and the idea that they show up, number one. Because I'd like to go back to that age, and I'm like, I don't know if I would have made that a priority in my life to show up consistently and to see these young women showing up consistently to be on these calls. But we'll have mentors on there, and even when we don't, the questions that they ask are
Mm.
just so awesome. They really are hungry to learn and to do something different, and it's fun because we've just like got them to start really participating in shooting videos and commenting in the network, and now getting to learn more personal stuff about them, and seeing like young 18-year-old getting a job she's so fired up about, and now she's like trying to figure out, shout out to Olivia. She's trying to figure out, okay, now I have a full-time job, but how do I still be a part of my family and do
Mhm.
that? And so helping them navigate the things that, I got to navigate when I was that age and didn't do it all so well, but being able to learn from them too. And they inspire me. I see some of them working out, and that's why I get my tennis shoes on and get out some days.
Mhm. So cool, man. It is so cool about it's one of the coolest things when we see and we get reminded of how capable they are, and we can automatically get transported back to that age too and go, man. And I've had that experience just like you have so many times where I'm like, whoa, okay, they're amazing. They're inspiring me right now. And if I really think back to me at that age,
Mm,
oh, okay. Like there's just so much hope that's there because you're just like, oh, it's so dang impressive. It's amazing. And then when they do show up and the thoughtfulness of the questions and all, it's so dang inspiring. When they're asking those questions, and it's making me think of like, the just watching the interactions they have with these mentors, I'll see the same thing on the ladies' side too. What about for you in particular? Like, I'm interested in you, like Wit's journey on this too. The challenges themselves, the books themselves, the mentors themselves. You got to, meet with so many amazing humans. Are there any of those that for you, you're like, ooh, this was some of my favorite. And again, mentors, favorite meaning like, ooh, this was one that changed a lot of things for me. The books and the challenges, something that you're like, ooh, this is what I really liked, or even one, a book that wasn't necessarily on the list, but it's been changing you recently, whatever. Do you have any of those that kind of stand out to you on all of those fronts?
absolutely. So I definitely would have to give a shout out to Atomic Habits. It's just
Mm,
been a one
mm.
that's really built the consistency in my life. And just going, habit stacking has been something that has just, I mean, it's my way of life now. It's like, how did I survive before this book came along? Um, but but just recently, and this is going to be a book that we add to our list for year one, is Fast Like a Girl. Um,
Mhm.
it's Dr. Mindy Peltz, and what's really helpful is that I'm seeing this from a whole family, not just for myself. And that was another one that I was like, this got recommended to me probably a year ago. And I was like, no, I have no interest in fasting. And then Kevin sent me a podcast with her on it. And I was like, man, this, because we are changing how we're eating in our family. We're changing different things. And definitely is pointing our whole family in a direction of being healthier and choosing to do things differently.
It's
I
awesome,
think
man.
this is I'm going to piggyback a little bit. This is one of the things that is so cool about Apogee, because it's the whole family, is that as Wit discovers this book, we're talking about it, and you start thinking like, wait a second, this is a lot of really cool information about like a woman's cycle and how that affects mood and what's happening in the house. And how come you're telling me this now that we're in menopause? Like this would have been really useful 28 years ago. And then you look at your son, and you're like, ooh, he needs to know this. Like, because this is huge. Like an understanding of what Wits understands. Like, oh wow, this could have made my life a lot better. I could have just understood what was happening, like the reality of what was happening and how my system is different than my wife's system, because we're pretty simple. Like men are 24 hours testosterone every 15 minutes. Wit is not simple. They're a 28-day cycle with three different hormones going up and down and kind of a symphony. It makes this beautiful, awesome thing. But yeah, if you just think you can, well, no, you don't, because the same things aren't happening in our body. And that's been fun for me to be able to integrate the whole way through. It's like, okay, what's happening to you matters to me, what's happening to me matters to you, and here's how it affects the whole family.
Hmm. Well, and the example that you guys are setting for Liam too, right? And it's that family that you mentioned. I think there's a common thing which I've heard, Whit, I've heard you and the ladies speak about this, and I've had the pleasure of coming on with some of the mentors too and speaking about this, but it's the whole concept of just exposing our kids to certain things, certain conversations around life things like this. That doesn't mean when we say that and culturally we think, oh, you're talking about exposing our children to pornography at 7 years old. It's like, no, 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 no. I'm not saying something crazy. I'm saying this is a real talk. Hey, as ladies get older and working with the hormone things, it changes our bodies, and this is interesting. And food it plays with our hormones, and that Liam doesn't have to understand everything that you're getting from this book. He doesn't have to understand that. But when he sees you guys having that conversation and talking about it, there's something in there that's triggering. And then, hey, maybe there's nothing else that comes until he's married one day and starts to go, ooh, I remember that this was a thing. And then maybe he's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go take a look, or I'm going to call mom and dad. What was that you guys were learning, right? That's what we mean as far as making those things normal. That's leadership right there. we're helping prepare so it's not just blindsided like sometimes we feel as adults, and so we're helping families to lead in that way.
I think too with the challenges that we have set in our year one and our year two program, um, I think, it's just a practical way of living. And it's really simple stuff. It's not like
Mhm.
it's creating a schedule that works for you. I can't tell you how many times I've gone back to that challenge because it's like, okay, my schedule is not working for me. We have moved around so much this past year,
Right.
and something that worked last week doesn't work for me this week. So, how can I shift it around so that I'm not waking up with that sense of overwhelm and I don't know how I'm going to get all of this done. Well, the truth is I will get done what's important to me as long as it's on the schedule and I create that plan for myself. And my plan looks differently from Kevin's or even yours. And coming back
Mm-hmm.
to challenges, that's one that really stands out to me. But coming back to these challenges on a regular basis and knowing just because I've finished one doesn't mean that it's over. No, it's practical. This is how my board of directors that I've created. Those are people that I go back to and remind myself, oh, this is how I want to show up as a mother. This is how I want to show up as a leader inside of coaching. This is how I want to show up as a wife to my husband.
So hold on, because this is important, right? Because so far you're telling me you're a real normal person who, while her head may go in the clouds sometimes, has her feet down in the mud on reality, right? You're telling me you have problems. You're telling me your husband, who also leads in the movement, it had a heart attack. You have menopause. Your relationship with your kids isn't perfect. We aren't perfect, and your kids aren't perfect. Why would anyone follow you as a coach?
My whole
I
belief
mean, why
system
would
is just
anyone follow? I
all of
mean,
it's
come
gone.
on. I thought you were going to come on here, show us the Lamborghini, flash some cool new hair, and dance a little. Why would anyone follow you as a coach based on all of these negatives?
I think the biggest thing is because I'm doing the work for me first. It's not just something I'm talking about and I'm not perfect and I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm not and I'll be the first one to share with you when things are going wrong for me. And then I'll also share what I'm creating to create solutions in my life because I for a long time I would say that I could be very victimy, and it wasn't serving me. And anything that I know to be true in my life is I am my own problem and I'm also the solution. And I'm creating solutions and I'm creating them daily. And am I doing it perfectly? Absolutely not, but I'm striving for that.
Mm,
You said
it's
something one time that I wrote down. Sorry, man.
no,
It's my
you're good.
wife. I'm excited.
You're good.
You said something one time that changed my whole life. And it's about a mountain, and I'm hoping you remember what it is. If you don't, that's fine. Well, they'll know that we're not perfectly in sync either, which also is true. But you said something that changed my whole life. I write it probably once a month to myself to remind myself. And I think for me, as much as I just gave you a hard time about why would anyone follow you, you're one of the realest people I know. You might not be perfect, you might not have the answer, but you are in touch with reality and you are right there next to someone wherever they are. And you've probably been there. And wherever you are, you're just willing to be there, be real about it. And that is so rare. It's such a rare thing these days. And I'm so blessed to live with you because it's not rare in my world. Right. But you said something about a mountain I'd love for you to share right now.
So to give you a little context of what that's saying is, to give you an example, we moved our family across country this past week to celebrate my daughter's getting married on Tuesday. We also have Easter. We also have my birthday. We also have, four other kids that we're raising, and I'm leading two different movements of women and young women, and still showing up for myself, and all of that can be super overwhelming. It can make you want to just throw the covers over the top of your head and not get out of bed in the morning. Um, and what I woke up one day when I was facing a lot of these same
Oh
things.
wait, but wait, hold on. You didn't. And also, we have a kid graduating from
Oh, you
college the
can't
same week,
graduate.
and we showed up and found out we accidentally rented a place with no washer dryer for a month, and we didn't have a coffee maker either. Just, I mean, she's giving you the highlights. This has been a week. Go ahead,
Yeah,
but just want to back you up.
true story.
But well, the saying that I came up with is that I made this mountain and I'm capable of moving this mountain. And when you can look at your life of you're creating everything that's happening in your life. I am creating all of this stuff. And some of it, yeah, it's not the best thing going to a laundromat, but even that, I was like, this is kind of cool. I've never done this before. And I watched a Netflix movie while I was at the laundromat, and all of my laundry got washed at one time. And then I folded it and I was like, maybe this is what I'll do again, or hire a laundry service. But
Mhm.
you make the mountains in your life and you can move them.
I like that. I've never heard that story or heard that.
Nobody definitely is going to follow you now. You said you went to a laundromat, despite your husband saying over and over, just hire it out. I was going the Alex Hormozy route of like, hey, hire it out. We'll have someone pick it up. She's like, no, I want to have this experience. I haven't done this. And yeah, but that's what's so beautiful about you. You just want to feel and live all of life.
Well, I mean, but that's what leadership is too, man. And I think to try to put a visual on it, I think people believe growth, education, leadership, or I'll say growth and education. They believe you're starting at step one and you're just going up this ladder, right? And the higher you get, eventually you're going to get to a top of the ladder and you're done, right? You're done with growth and education, right? It gets finished at some point, which is crazy. And then leadership means you're at the top over here and you're yelling at everybody else who's below you and maybe trying to give them some tools to get back up, right? And I think that is one of the worst. I think we inherently think that way. I think culturally we're trained to think that way, but it really is this. It really is this circle, and it really is more almost like a dartboard where like you're kind of going or a target where you're kind of going around the outside for a while, maybe slowly because you're around the outside, and the more you get to that leadership side, and maybe you're inside and you're still going around in circles, but it's just a tighter circle now because you're closer to the bullseye, and then your job is to pull more of those people into closer, concentric circles because you are continuously revisiting what are the habits that I want to integrate. What are what is the schedule? Who are these board of directors that I want to lean into now? Who is the person I need to show up as now? Because the person that you show up as now as mom to Liam, now is not the same as mom to Liam when he's 16, which isn't going to be exactly the same as mom to Liam when he's 25, which is not right. And so you're continuing that circle. That's the journey, and so I appreciate that you're talking about leadership from that perspective.
Yeah, and what I like about that is I know that I'm never finished. I'm never going to get to the top of that mountain because there's always another top. There's always another peak for me to get
Bingo.
to. And I think at times it can be a little frustrating. Kevin will oftentimes write in a love note to me that we're just getting started. And on a bad day, I'm like, I don't want to just get started. I want it to be finished. But on most days, I'm glad that we're just getting started. I'm glad that there's a new something for me to go out and figure out and to learn. And the day that I stop learning is the day that I die. And the leader that I want to be is when I see women that are in spots that I've been in, is that I
Mm,
want to I want to hike back down the mountain and walk right on the side of them. I don't want
mm,
to carry them. I don't want to push them. I want to walk side by side with them, because I've had some powerful people do that with me too. And
mm.
that's the leader that I know that I am and that I want to continue to be is the woman that says, "Come on, let's walk together."
That's really good. So what do you say to those ladies that are skeptical, that are sitting there like, that does sound kind of good. Yeah, I do want that, but right when they've got the eloquent lies or the just blatant excuses, the uh, all of the things we tell ourselves as to why we should not take the chance to do this thing. If you've got those ladies out there that are hearing that, listening to that, what do you say to them?
I say that it's time to choose you. It's time to put yourself on the front burner, and realize that that's not a selfish something to do. And that every time you take a step forward in growing you, all of that trickles into your family. And I know this to be true because I have 5 kids and I have a husband. And no, we're not perfect, but we do have a marriage that is one for the books. And I've had one that hasn't been for the books, so I know that leaning into you will build you into the woman that's not just waking up exhausted and overwhelmed every morning, but that is out there making it happen and still having those off days. And those off days will not hurt as much as they have.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to say, why would a young woman, 12 to 18, why would a young woman join up with Apogee Strong Young Woman? Right? What is the purpose of that? What does it do that's different? For young men, I think it's a little simpler because honestly, we're a little more poorly built for the internet age. We feel a little more isolated in this. You got to communicate massively. You can't just grunt and throw something anymore because the game's online. You got to figure out how to communicate and then get to Gruninger or something.
Mm-hmm.
For young women, what would you say to a family who's looking at that program and say, hey, why would someone come along and join Apogee Strong Young Woman?
So I would talk directly to the young woman, and I think what happens as we're younger is we don't know how to use our voices, and our your voice matters, and it doesn't have to be a loud voice. But you leading with your voice and love and kindness, and having other young women around you, the community that's being built here is so different from social media. It's seeing these young women come together and encourage one another, and not all the sniping that happens with gossiping. And I'm sure that these young women are not perfect. I'm sure that they gossip. I mean, I think we're kind of born with some of that as women. We like to gossip, but I would say it's good gossiping because we're doing it in front of each other's faces, and the challenges and the tools that we have here are building leaders in their families and not waiting for mom and dad to do it, not waiting for older siblings to do it, but them taking charge in their families and also watching them do this in their jobs that they've created and in their schools that they're going to. They're building themselves as leaders, and that's the biggest thing inside of this young women's program.
So my job on the podcast is to ask the totally unfair questions that come out of left field. So in just days, literally less than a week, 6 days from now, our oldest daughter, Hunter Eve, is going to get married. We're going to watch one of our kids walk down the aisle. Um, and I am so much a better father for having you in my life. One of my favorite memories is when I was first figuring out how to discipline kids. I would really overdo it. And Whitney would talk to me like, hey, that was way too much for little kids. I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. So we, when I would discipline the kids, she would stand behind them and I would start disciplining, and her hands would come up or down based on like the appropriate level of mean man voice and the appropriate level of how vicious I was being, and I'll never forget that because it was so kind to me rather than just say, hey, you were just really ugly to the kids. She's like, hey, look, I'm going to help you. And it was awesome because like, oh, I'm going too far. Okay, cool. I got to slow down a little bit, be nicer. And then I could really get the point across. Our children are exponentially better because I was a better father. I was able to be a better father because of the mother that you were, because of the wife that you were to me. Um, that being said, what would you say to our 25-year-old? What do you wish you knew that day
Mm.
when you walked down the aisle at a similar age that maybe you could pass to her? Because one of the cool, you've led thousands of women, thousands and thousands of women over the course of the last decade. What do you wish she could know?
Let the tears begin, huh?
Mm.
um, to just be authentic, authentically yourself. Because if you hide who you are and you conform to someone else's mold of what you should be, you're not going to be happy. It'll always, you think you will in the moment, but it always comes back around. And it's something that I'm watching in her. She's 25 years old and she's herself. And she doesn't, I don't agree with everything that she does. She doesn't agree with everything that I do, but she's learned how to be herself. And I think just being unapologetically herself is one of the biggest things. And, and also just learn how to communicate. That's communication is always, I think, is an ongoing process. I don't think there's one thing that makes a good communicator. I think also, when we marry someone, learning how to communicate with them is huge. And then when you have children, it's, you're learning how to communicate with your children. And people out there that have multiple children, we all know that not one of them are the same.
It's really good. I'm so excited for you guys. I got a left field question too, just because. Which one of you is gonna cry more at the wedding?
That'll probably be me.
You? Okay. All right, just checking. Just checking. And I
Okay,
say that
hold on,
all
hold on. Full disclosure, full disclosure. We went to the venue yesterday and I got lost trying to find the bathroom. I tried to find the bathroom, and instead of walking into the bathroom, I walked into the bridal, the waiting room. So where Hunter
yeah,
will be while she's waiting. And
yeah,
and I just started crying. Like I'm just standing
yep,
in a pretty room crying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so my daughter is gonna sit right there and
yep.
wait to walk down the aisle. So
Yeah,
it'll
man.
it'll it'll probably be wit, but it won't be without score on my side.
I have no doubt. And I'll tell you what, the fact that the both of you have that such a wide range of the human emotions in all of the best ways with your hearts the way you guys are, man. I love the hell out of both of you, and I'm so grateful to be doing this with both of you. I really really am, and so and we wanted this one to be all about you, and I'm so thankful, and I know I've gotten to tell you before, but I don't do a good job enough telling people in my life that anyways because I don't do as good of a job on I'm I'm a psychopath and I'm obsessive and I want to serve and I want to love, but man, I don't do a good enough job sometimes switching into that emotion of just that. Oh man, just the gratitude sometimes in there that I need to, man. So I just want to make sure that that is publicly known. Extraordinarily grateful for you. So take us home with a we're gonna do what we do with some of the podcast guests too, because I really want people to be able to know where to find you too. So obviously we got the, Apogee Strong and everything we're doing here, but where do we find more Coach Wit? And that'll be the last one here on our side.
Well, I am really bad at social media, but I will see stuff like weeks after and respond to it. So you can find me. It's Coach Wit on Instagram and on Facebook. And then I'm Wit at apogeestrong.com. You can email me there, and that's a really great way for me to get in touch with you. And you can go to our website too. And I'd love to have a call if any of you guys are interested in joining Apogee Woman and are on the fence about it. Give me a shout out. I'd love to get on a call with you and for young women as well.
So good. Such an
So
important
as
part of this
always, oh, go
here.
ahead, Matt. Go ahead, man.
I was saying just such an important part of this entire thing. So I'm so glad we got to do this. Got to highlight the coach.
That is another story from the summit. Personally, my favorite, but that might be because she also is the highest summit in my life. So thank you for being here with us as we continue to be Apogee Strong.